Hey guys, how's it going? It's Chris here from VengeanceBooks.com. And you may be thinking, hey Chris, you write books, but do you read books? I've talked about books that I've read in the past in passing and on other channels, and I have talked about my favorite book series, but I don't think I've really shown off my book collection. I think I did briefly on TikTok, maybe like a year ago. I don't have a lot of books, and I don't make a lot of time to read books because for a couple of reasons, I'm too busy writing and doing other stuff, and I don't really have the opportunity to read because it's just like it's a completely different mindset that I have to shift, which detracts from everything else that I'm doing. And also, I'm anxious about accidentally, unintentionally, unconsciously lifting concepts, materials, and ideas from other people's books. I don't ever like, yeah, you can get inspired. You can get inspired by other people's stuff, and I do. I get inspired. Like I have references to my favorite book series in Devil to the Damned, and in video games, movies. You get inspired. Like, oh, that's a really good idea. How can I incorporate something like that into my books? And that's not plagiarism, but in my head, sometimes it feels like plagiarism. Or if something that I've read or saw somewhere works perfectly, just the idea that's not so unique to that specific property and is like not generic, but just like, it's something that fits really well. It's like, yeah, it would be dumb of me not to include something like that. I still feel like I'm plagiarizing. But so I don't set aside a lot of time to read. I did last year. Last year, I think I read like 6 books, while I was also writing my book. Um, but it's because I actually got the books on paperback. 'Cause I prefer paperback over digital 10 times out of 10. But yeah, I want to take a moment and show you guys what books I do have. Like I said, it's not that many, but here we go. Let's flip it around. And this is always in the backdrop of like my videos and stuff. I'll have to get around some of these figures. Excuse me, Gohan. So over here, we have one of my oldest books, and previously my favorite book of all time, Things Not Seen by Andrew Clements or whatever. This is just an old like dust cover copy, and it got damaged. I think my rabbits chewed on it at one point because it fell off my shelf. And yeah, this is my favorite book of all time, or like my legacy favorite book. I'm not gonna go over my books. I'm just gonna this is just in there. This is like one of the first handmade copies I did. This was a gift. This is the Champion's Guide to Apex Legends, which is an outdated, like, I don't know, reference book for the game from early seasons. We have the Legend of Final Fantasy X, Creation Universe and Decryption. I asked for this for Christmas just to add to my, collection of Final Fantasy X stuff, and it's so cool. It's just got a whole lot of extra information on the world and characters. I finally went and I bought Coraline, and no offense to Neil Gaiman, whoopsies, whoopsie-poopses, no offense to Neil Gaiman, but as I was reading through, I'm like, how did this get so popular? Like, yeah, it's good, but just like, the way it's written is just so rapid and stout, and just, I don't know, it's just very like, there's just not a lot of in between. It's so short, it's so quick, and it's so rapid fire. I'm like, how did this get so popular? But then, it's what people get from it. It's not how it's written, it's what is written. I grabbed Jurassic Park and I tried to start reading it, and I'm like, yeah, this is just not structured in a way that I want to read it. At least not the beginning parts where it has a lot of like, I don't know, just it's written in a weird way. This used to be my favorite book in school, The Outsiders. I need to read it again. This copy has folded corners and pieces where like I actually drew in the book to write to like note some of my favorite parts and moments. Great book. Here we have the politically correct bedtime stories. So it's like, yeah, it's cool. We have one of my favorite series as a kid, the Dragon Slayers Academy. I got a couple of, not a whole lot of these, just a couple copies of, was this 1 and 4 I have. I think I just happened to pick them up in like secondhand shops or something. Got this from Dylan for Christmas, kind of as a joke gift. It's Bobby Singer's Guide to Hunting, Supernatural. Not a joke gift, but like, and this as well. Book of Monsters, Demons, Spirits, whatever. We have Rick Burroughs' Alan Wake, written based off basically transcribing the whole game Alan Wake. We actually have 2 sequels to Things Not Seen, Things That Are and Things Hoped For, which has some bedazzling on it. And I didn't even know that this book had sequels, and I haven't read them yet. I want to, but I haven't. Yeah, I didn't know that that was a small series. Here we have a manga, The Girl from the Other Side, which I have not read yet. It's just the first volume. I'm not going to take these out individually. We have Bleach 1 and 2 by Tite Kubo. We have some Rurouni Kenshin manga from Nobuhiro Watsuki. We have the entire Uzumaki manga collection. And then we have, I think, my favorite standalone manga series called Happiness. And if I was to get my book drawn in a manga style, this is the art style I'd want it to be in. This is Shuzo Oshimi, and it's basically about a kid who gets basically turned into a vampire. And it's really the story is really cool, and I love, like I said, I love the art style. I mean, the first chapter starts with him seeing one of his classmates, her ass hangs out of her skirt, and he goes home and jerks off about it. And I mean, like, look at that. That's such a cool art style. And then there's a scene where a character, one of the main characters, gets her boobs cut off and is tortured and beaten nearly to death from like a vampiric cult. And it's a crazy story. Over here we have oh, actually that's the sequel to another book. Over here, gotta move some of this stuff out of the way. We have, why is it underneath this entire stack? Come on. We have When the Divine Are Dead by E.K. Barnes, a fellow self-published author. Pretty decent book. I like it. I did a review on it. This is the sequel, or this is like the sequel, and then there's also a third book, I believe. This is In the Case of Our Fate, which I have not read yet. I picked it up, and I planned on reading it, but I have not gotten around to it. I love the stylistic choices for that. Over here, we have a book that I bought. God, why did I stack them in opposite order? We have a book that I got, Shadow Weaver, back in like 2018, and just because the cover art looked really cool. I think I was in a Meyer at the time, and I picked that up, and it took me like 3 or 4 years to finally read it, but I enjoyed it. It's a very kid story, but it's cute, it's nice, and it's got some cool concepts. This is the sequel, Comet Rising, which I think is also, it's not as good as the first one, but definitely has some really cool ideas and character stuff that really paid off, I think, the story stuff from the first one. And then we have, I'm not going to take all these out individually, but we have Tales from the Gas Station Volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, as well as 2 of the in-between stories, The Green Knight and Bedside Manor. These are all in the same Tales from the Gas Station universe. And there's also, over here, we have the Code Green Part 1 of 7, Tales from the Gas Station, which this is, I believe, the same story as The Green Knight. It's about the gas station getting swarmed by mayflies, like these alien mayfly creatures, and this is the actual comic version of it, which is so cool. I haven't read through the comic version. I was going to wait until I got all of them, but I think this is the only one that's been released. I haven't checked in on it a little bit, but I haven't gotten notified that there's been others. But it's cool to actually finally see official artwork of what the characters look like. I mean, they look exactly like what you have imagined, basically, but it's still nice to actually get that definitive, okay, that is the Jack Townsend approved character design. That's not all my books. I think I have a couple more out in the living room, but I'm not going to go out there because it's like, I think there's a couple of Shonen Jumps and other stuff like that. Nothing too important, but yeah, that's my very small book collection. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite book is down in the comments below. Or something, I guess. I don't know. Talk to you in the next one.